So let's go. Welcome to Section 31, episode number 363. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week, I have just returned from Origins 2000, 18? And man, I had a great time. I'm exhausted, but I got to play a bunch of different games. I got to see a lot of friends. I stayed up too late some nights. I slept in a whole lot some other days. And I ate a lot of North Market food. So
I'm already jealous.
Yeah, well, you may not be because I ate. So let's talk about North Market. North Market is number one, awesome, right? It's kind of like this big open area. I'm sure we've talked about it before. Big open area, internal. Like it was like imagine a huge giant barn with a bunch of just food vendors on the inside, kind of almost like like someone brought a cart, but they're permanent, so they have little kitchens and things everywhere. There's probably I don't know, maybe 20 different food vendors all along the perimeter on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then on the second floor around the perimeter, there's seating, but it's open on the inside, so you could see all the way down and just see people walking around. In addition to that, there's little shops where you can get like ceramics, and there's a wine shop and a cheese shop and just all kinds of things. Jenny's ice cream is in there. It's one of the anchors. So on the first day, on Wednesday, I checked into the hotel. I passed out for about half an hour. Surprisingly, the suite was available like when I got there at like 10 a.m. So that was
nice.
Great. So I was able to dump all my stuff, and like I said, I passed out. I got up, like, all right, it's time to go get my badge, and then go get some lunch. And I went down, and I got in the line was too long, so I thought, okay, get lunch instead. That's fine. Usually, Origins, not a long line, but the line was, it kind of snaked in front of it, and then it went down the hallway just a little bit. Nowhere near Gen Con, but still, it looked like a line. So I thought, this is going to pass in 20 minutes, so I'm going to go get lunch.
Sure.
I did a full circle, like you usually do, looking for new things, and I found a Nepalese restaurant.
Ooh.
And it said chicken, pork, vegetable, and potato, and the vegetable and potato were listed as vegan. So right away, I'm thinking, no milk? That's fantastic. So I said, all right, chicken, any dairy? And he said, no, sir. So I said, I'll take that. And it was a little carton of maybe 8 dumplings of chicken with chicken on the inside, and this little tangy sauce. They were fantastic. It was amazing. I was like, this is great. So it was something called Momo, and all I could think of was a little flying thing from Avatar, but exactly. I did not eat Momo, but Momo was the name of the dish that I had. And I ended up going back there many, many times. So I did not have the variety of food that I usually do, but man, it was great.
Man, that must really be nice, especially with your current constraints, to find a really good place that you can really go to again and again.
And I didn't have to worry about it because, like I said, that even the vegetable ones were vegan. That usually means no milk, no dairy, no cheese or anything. So that's perfect. That's great for me. And the pork and chicken didn't have any additions. So I was like, all right, I'm having chicken today. Tomorrow I'm having pork. And then there was like a variety pack. You can get like 2 of each. So 2, 4, 6, 8 of potato, vegetable, pork and chicken. I did that on a later day. And on the last day, I might have gotten 1 of each, the pork and the chicken, because it was really good. On the way out, you can't really leave without going by Jenny's,
which I think is by design.
Yeah, it's got to be. Again, my problem is I can't have dairy, but last year Jenny's had this chocolate truffle flavor that was dairy free.
Oh.
This year they had that and another flavor. It was frosé, which is kind of like a rosé is the wine flavor. But it was a frozen kind of sherbet.
Okay.
Sorbet.
Sorbet.
So it was kind of this like nice light wine flavored, and it went perfect with the chocolate. So I had a scoop of each, and
it was funny because literally the only reports I've gotten from Origins was the one email about the question I asked you, and then actually that's not true. I saw some mini stuff posted by my friend James, but Chad, literally all of his Facebook posts about Origins were flavors of the day, blah 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 blah, blah, and then lists of all of his not exclusively ice cream flavors, but mostly ice cream that he had eaten that day. So it was interesting. Like, oh, I remember that one. Oh, I remember that one. That sounds really good right now.
Yeah. It was really good every time. I'm not gonna lie. I might have done that more than once. So I wandered back, and the line was still really long, and that's all right. It was moving. They had like 12 stations set up. All you have to do is walk up and scan your barcode, and then it prints out your stuff, and you get your things and leave. So it's like, all right, I can do this. About half an hour or so. I got all the way to the front, and I'm looking through my phone. So I bought True Dungeon tickets, right, for Friday afternoon. Turns out for Origins, you do that directly through True Dungeon. So I went to their website and bought it. And as I get to the front, I'm looking through my phone. I never pre-registered for a badge.
He never bought a badge.
No, I didn't. So I went to the website, and it said you can't register anymore. Last registration date was like 2 weeks ago.
That would have been a neat trick, though. Quickly buy it online while you're standing in the will call line.
We'll put a pin in that and come back to it. So I got in the line of death, which is the long, slow line, which was another hour and a half of people slowly shuffling forward, trying to, because you got to buy your badge, you got to figure out what events you want or to see what's still open, and try to get into them, and then pay, and then they have to take your money, and it took for absolute ever. So I got to the front and I said, I want a 4-day badge and 10 generic tokens, please. And she said, well, that was rather concise. And I said, just give it to me. So at one point, when I'm at the front of the line, someone next to me says, hey, you can still register. It works. You just can't buy any event tickets.
Oh, no.
So I even
had the idea.
But I followed directions. It said you can't register. And later on, they put up a sign that said, just don't get in this line. If you don't want to buy any event tickets, just go buy your badge through the thing and come up and scan your. It's all right. It's okay.
Oh, man.
I had my ice cream. I stood in line for a while, and that was
fine.
At
least you weren't, waiting for lunch. That would have been awful.
Yes. I did things in the correct order, even if they were not the smartest things. I'm telling you, they make that line, the register on site line, as obnoxious and slow as possible so that you remember and pre-register for the next year.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they get their numbers, by the pre-registrations. They want to know how many people are coming. And wow. But by the time I got to the front, and this was still Wednesday, they sold out of the boardroom badges. They sold out of a lot of the extra ribbons that you can buy. Sold out on Wednesday night. So it was a full con. There were a lot of people there. I ran into, when I was standing in the line of death, Herman from the Bay Area guys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And he tells me, Franklin and Jeremy and Richard New are all here. So they got the idea to go to Origins and play True Dungeon, because True Dungeon is only $45 at Origins, where it's $75 at
it's almost half price.
And you can, we registered. I'll get to our thing, but I registered and was able to pick any slot I wanted pretty much, and it wasn't day of opening, so that was great. I remember when we ran last year, we were there on Saturday, and it was pretty full, and they said, man, you should have come on Thursday or Friday. It was empty. You could have just walked in if you wanted. But I got my badge, went back to the suite, met a couple of our friends, ran down to the convention center has their own little food court there, which is really nice. I stood in line for the Greek place for a little while, but they were slow, so I wandered over and got like a Reuben from the barbecue place right next door, and some chicken wings, and it was fantastic. I went back up to the suite. We hung out for a while longer, and I closed things down. At 10 o'clock. We didn't have any food. We hadn't made our food run yet, so there wasn't much to do to hang out in the suite. There weren't a lot of people there yet. I think I slept for 12 hours in a row. It was glorious. Yeah. Nice. I didn't wake up until the sun was warm the next day. And so more of our friends came in. We went over to get some lunch. I knew we were having a fancy dinner that night, so I didn't want to eat too much. So I went back to the same place and got some more dumplings, and it was great. I don't think we got Jenny's that day at that time
Fail.
yet. But I wandered around the game floor for a while. I was on a mission. I had to, one of our friends doesn't get to go to these conventions. So he said, take some pictures of the dice. And if I find anything I like, I'll
right.
email you. So I took, I finally posted the collection of images. It was 65 pictures.
Oh my God.
Well, and Chessex wasn't even there. This is the first year I've gone to a convention, and Chessex was not to be seen. So Game Science was still there. The people that give out the free die every year,
Crystal Castle?
Crystal Castle, they were there. In addition, there were a couple little, the little booths that are in the back. You got the big booths in the front, little booths in the back.
Sure.
There were a couple of at least 4 different booths where people had just had custom, really nice dice. There was one set called Elder Dice, and this is one of the ones that I picked up. And it comes in a little book. I haven't cracked the seal on this, but you kind of see they're really nice, dark green with bright with a golden yellow. One of the signs has one of the highest side has an elder sign or something. Lovecraft Elder Dice. Anyway, really nice. Kind of that like dark green swirly color with a good print on it. There was next to them there was a guy who made ceramic dice. So they were like pottery, that kind of thing, where you can have any kind of color swirls you wanted that would look really nice. There was a booth that had wooden dice that were all carved out of all. You remember the wood booths, right, where they have all the dice holders and all the GM screens made of the really nice wood. Yeah. Well, it was just like that. Any kind of wood you can imagine, finished and really nice. They didn't have the heft of normal dice, but they were very pretty to look at. There was another company that was not only selling dice, they all were also selling the rolling little boards that we've been looking at, those Kickstarters and things we've been looking at.
Oh yeah,
the little flat things that fold up and snap together. They had some of those.
Yeah, I actually got one of those. I thought I had it right here. Yeah, I thought I had it right here, but I must have put it in my game bag.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty swanky. Brian found that, and we both got the exact same one because purple.
They had the ones that I found were not as swanky as I thought they would be. They were. I was expecting magnets. I wanted a little, snap magnets because everything has magnets now. However, the company that was selling them also was selling metal dice, so I can understand why they wouldn't want magnets because that would,
Right. Oh, that might have been the company that we got from because it was like Die Hard.
It could be
because the place that we found was they sold these because they had metal dice and they didn't want they wanted to have a nice, not just a bowl, but a nice sturdy mat that was not going to dent through.
Yeah. There was another place that had just really fine crystalline, I don't know if they were precious stones, but they looked really nice. There was another booth that had more metal dice. In fact, that's what this comes from. Norse Foundry. This is the mithril, the aged mithril set. These are heavy dice. This is really cool. I like that set. Anyway, that was the second set that I got for Sky. They also had instead of a kind of a bowl or a flat with the corners that popped up, their dice holder was, imagine 4, I don't want to say popsicle sticks, but about the size of popsicle sticks, all held together by magnets on the edges. They all pop apart. And the far sides were stuck to the leather on the bottom. So you pop off the front and back, and then you put them down in the middle, and you roll it all up, and it goes in a little bag.
Oh.
And that's your rolling place. It felt a little flimsy. The magnets weren't very strong. But the designs on the sides were really nice. So that was kind of cool. And again, metal dice. They also had a lot of things like Game Science. You already told me. I've already forgot. The other dice
Crystal
place.
Castle.
Crystal Castle, yeah. A lot of the stuff that Crystal Castle has.
Yeah.
they had. But I did get my Crystal Castle 2017. What 2017?
I was gonna say,
There we go. Origins 2018. That was the wrong one.
did you get a leftover?
No, this one says Gen Con 50. I pulled it from the wrong bag. Actually, when I bought the D20 set, they gave out, you get a free die. So this was the other. See, you can see the 20 there, that little rune.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of cool. That's a nice die. I like that. Anyway, I did not find a lot in the ways of spare coupon books lying around, so I didn't get a ton of these Origins dies. I only got this one. Usually I bring a bunch back, but it just didn't happen this year. They were like checking IDs and punching your badge when you picked up the books. Maybe that's been a problem in the past. Anything happened on Thursday? We went out to dinner. I had a huge steak, tomahawk, the bone sticking out, set on the side of your car and it falls over, that kind of steak. And since it was James's birthday, we walked up High Street to the other Jenny's.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we got our ice cream that night. So I got another 2 scoops. He got his ice cream for free. And then we walked back toward the suite.
Nice. Yeah, it's easy to. We did that once, I think, with Dave, and unless you know where you're going, it's easy to walk right past that.
It's kind of a little hole in the wall, and there's only one way to go in. You got to go out the side on the.
Yeah, and if you luckily there was a line, because if we hadn't seen the line out the door,
yeah,
even for then it was short because there's only 2 or 3 people out the door. We might have just missed it, but yeah, it's a doable walk.
Yeah, not bad at all. Friday, I had True Dungeon in the afternoon, so in the morning I got up. I took a cleric deck because I wanted to play some ACG. So I went to they have at Gen Con, right, the Sagamore Ballroom. Huge, monstrous, cavernous space that they took over. Origins, they took over like 3 of the Franklin rooms right next to the Hyatt. So it's very small, much smaller scale. There were 2 ACG tables. But you remember the guy that ran most of the events at Gen Con, Kevin, curly hair,
okay,
kind of local. He was there running everything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it turns out he's not going to be at Gen Con because he's going to Dragon Con this year. So he went out he's local Origins guy. So he was running events here. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, that works out.
And I sat down just as they were starting something. I think this was maybe I stopped in on Thursday as well, but they were starting a playtest for the new the preview. What
nice.
they're doing is they're setting up a new version of the ACG, kind of a streamlined. I wouldn't call it 2nd edition, but something similar. I said this on Saturday, so I think on Friday I just sat in and talked to the guy about how to build a deck. So I didn't actually play. I just sat in for a while. So that playtest was on Saturday. We talked about that anyway. It was pretty cool. We just went through one little adventure. A lot of the same cards, a lot of the same functionality. There were a couple of rule changes that made things very interesting. And I don't know if it's something similar that was in the app, but the biggest change was 1 card type per check total. So that means if someone plays a blessing
across everyone,
there's only 1 blessing can be played.
Whoa, that's a game changer.
It is very much so. There were some subtle things here and there that got changed. People's power got tweaked a little bit from the base set, but that was a huge change because classically everyone has a blessing at the end of the game and you fight the bad guy and it's cake, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, that's not apparently the way they want to play.
That's interesting. Like, on the one hand, that seems like something that they really are going to have to power balance against, because some of those fights are so hard that, because they're like, okay, well, you're going to have, say at least 4 people. That means you're going to get at least 4 blessings and so on. But on the other hand, it does mean that a lot of the other cards, sure they recharge instead of discard or something, but a lot of times I'm just like, I don't need a combat bonus from an ally or an item because I'm going to use my weapon or my spell, and then I'm going to get blessings.
Yep.
So that really makes the other cards more important.
There are some blessings that say, and some cards that say you can play them freely. Freely is the new keyword that says even if you've already played another one.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there are a few that sneak through there. Like offhand daggers, also you can play them freely. So if you have a sword in one hand and you whack somebody, you can offhand dagger them, which is kind of nice. I was playing Marisol, the thief,
yeah.
And she had a lot of stab somebody with the dagger, and stab somebody with your sword, and then use the dagger. And instead of discarding it, her special ability was anytime you're about to recharge or discard a dagger, you can, what was it, upload or something like that?
Reload.
Reload, yeah. So that means put it on top of your deck. So the next card that you draw, it's right there.
That's nice. I really like that.
So pretty much it turns it into a once a turn attack. You just put it on top of your deck and then use it again next turn because you'll withdraw right back into it.
Right.
The other thing that makes things makes your deck go a little faster, and it'll be really good for like Valros or maybe the Paladin armors. You display them now, and they stay up until you use them.
Oh, I love that so much.
So they're not part of your hand anymore.
Yeah.
They just stay up, and it's like I don't know the low level ones we had didn't have any just constant effects, but it was recharge to reduce a few points of damage or discard it to reduce all damage. Or variant, like the previous ones.
I think they were piloting that in the Ultimate Combat deck because that deck is worth getting for the armors. It's like this is how armor should have been the whole time because a bunch of them display, which is amazing, and then literally all of them have some other effect that makes the armor less boring or at least worth sitting in your hand. So, instead of having it sitting there doing nothing just in case you take damage, there is also a, recharge this card to add a die to your combat check, because you've got spiky armor, or recharge this card to add a die to your stealth check because it's stealth armor or whatever. So that's cool. I definitely, as soon as we saw the display armor in that, I was like, this is what every armor should do this.
Yeah, so that's what every armor did in the next set.
That's fantastic.
While we were sitting there, I was talking to the guys about deck construction because I don't play with you guys on Thursday nights, and one of the decks I have here is Tarlin, this cleric, right? So I decided to put together a Tarlin deck. He uses a lot of weapons, so I thought that'd be great. I wanted to buy a Ultimate Combat so I can get weapons and shields and things.
Yeah,
and I wanted to know if I could buy that and the Ultimate Occult or whatever, so I can get the spells too. They said no, you can just use one. You can't add spells from the occult and weapons from the combat. You can only use one side. That's fine. And so I went up to buy it. They weren't actually selling anything there.
Oh no.
They had a few for prizes. I wasn't playing enough to get any prizes. They said there might be people selling it on the floor. I didn't find anything all day. Nobody was selling any of their stuff. So it's funny. I was talking to Kevin. So should I? You're not selling it here? I said, yeah. You had to buy it online. I said, okay, that's fine. So I showed him. I found it on eBay for like $16 or something, shipped.
Nice.
I said, is this the one? He said, yeah. I would recommend you buy it from our actual site, but that's exactly it. You should just order that. So it'll be here in another week or so. That was the first thing I bought. After that. So I chatted with them for a while. This guy that was playing there said, hey, I remember you. The first time I came and played at Origins like 3 years ago. You were here. It was great. We had a great time. Rogue was the other guy, right? I'm like,
wow.
Wow, man. I have no idea who you are, but you remember us. That's fantastic. So it was good to see him again. He's playing again. I kept playing.
Nice.
That was great. I don't think Kevin recognized me at all. That's fine.
Well, he probably sees a lot of people.
That's exactly it. He sees a lot of people. So anyway, I went back to the floor, wandered around for a while. I found the Kenzer booth. They didn't have a lot of product out, but they had a lot of the new books, the really fancy players' handbooks, and a lot of the Knights of the Dinner Table on the other side. And I talked to somebody who was there, said, look, one of the guys who's been running one of our fantasy campaigns is moving away, so there might be an opening for some Hackmaster. So if I was gonna start a new campaign with a new series, what should I get? And I'm looking at the books on the table, and he said, well, would you be adverse to downloading something instead of buying something? And I'm like, well, that will make my luggage lighter, so thank you, yes. So we both got on our phones and was looking at the website, and he said, this one right here is it's an introductory campaign. It's marked down to like $15. It'll keep you going for like a year. So like, done. So I bought another thing online from a company that was at the con, but actually not from,
You just did all your con shopping online.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Made my load a lot lighter. Saturday was was anything else on Friday night? I don't think so. Saturday was the Pride Parade in the morning. So I went down and watched that for a few minutes, then went back inside, and that was when I caught the playtest of ACG.
Oh, nice.
That was great. Trying to think of any of the notes we had. Like they color shifted a few of the cards, so you can tell the difference, but not enough of them, in my opinion. So we noted about that. There's the other thing about the remember the blessings deck, right? That counts down what day it is.
Yeah.
Well, now it's the blessings hour or something like that. It's the hour deck.
Oh, okay.
So it's not days; it's hours.
That probably makes a little more sense.
Yeah, and so now the blessings, the text on the bottom is separated by a hard rule, horizontal line, and the top says, hour of Nethys. While this is face up, this happens, and the bottom says, you can play this to explore or add a die, or something.
If it matches the hour deck.
That's completely gone. Yeah, that's gone.
Wow.
There's no matching text. It's just you do this thing, or while it's up, something crazy happens. And they were all very different. Like if you play a card that adds to a strength check, you recharge it instead of discarding it. Just weird effects like that. So that was interesting. I like that.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. No change to how time worked or the count worked, but that was pretty cool. Let's see. I got to playtest a couple of games. Let me see if I can remember. I played a game called Reef. Reef was very popular. They sold out on like the second day or the first day.
Wow.
It was a kind of a very simple, kind of a family game. You got this grid, maybe a 5x5 grid in front of you, maybe a 6x6. And there are 4 different colors of tokens that you can play, and they stack very nicely. And every turn, you either play a card, which gets you a few more tokens, or draw a card and put it in your hand. And if you play a card to get tokens, the top half is what tokens you get and can place, and the bottom half is how you score points. So if you have this pattern, you score points. So you're building this kind of colorful reef and scoring points. It was simple enough, I think. It'd be a good family game, but they were sold out, so forget it. I played another kind of stacking game about samurais and these little discs that you stack up. It was horribly complex, and the guy I demoed with was not very good, so I beat him. I didn't feel good about that, so I went on something else. I did a demo of Star Wars Destiny. Have you played that one? The dice with the cards?
I have not played it. I have watched. I wouldn't even call it a demo, but I've seen sort of the basic premise of it.
Yeah.
And as soon as we hit the rarity of dice concept, I was out.
So I played a brief game. It was Han Solo and Luke Skywalker versus Boba Fett and a Stormtrooper, and it was the worst, least fun. It was terrible. I felt resource poor the whole game. I had to discard the lightsaber and the Millennium Falcon because I could never play them. I couldn't play any of the fun stuff because you only get like 2 resources a turn, and you have to roll and hope to get resources. I think I played an R2D2. my opponent played a couple of thermal detonators and just started lobbing them at me, and it was like, okay, I guess I'll just die, and you beat me. Congratulations, you're the worst demo person ever. uh, yeah, it was dice and rolling, and I don't mind a dice game where you're rolling and randomly doing things. I also don't mind a card game where you've got the randomness of the deck, but you really don't need to multiply those two things together,
No.
right? I mean,
Have we have not learned the lesson of the Watsy Yahtzee.
yeah, no, it was right there, in full effect. Right next to that was the X-wing versus TIE fighter miniature battle game, little
Oh yeah,
minis.
X-wing.
Yeah, I think I watched for about 5 minutes as someone else was demoing it. I thought, man, this makes me want to play the flight simulator. It does not make me want to play this at all.
No.
So I wandered off. I got. I actually found Chad in the back at the Lone Shark game. Lone Shark, right?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played an interesting. Wasn't exactly. It was kind of a deck building game, where the premise is it's kind of a far off post apocalyptic, but it's not too apocalyptic. If things are coming back, whatever. He kind of described that the setting was from a RPG series, so it was very well detailed. And then we started playing, and it seemed that setting had absolutely nothing to do with what we were doing.
Oh,
but that's fine. I got to play with two of our friends, and Chad got to hang out and tell us how to play the whole time. You have a handful of abilities and abilities on your card, and those abilities let you bid to see who gets to buy things first. And if you win the bid, you get to buy them with what you bid. And if you didn't win, then you can buy what's left in that color. And if there's nothing left, then you just get victory points for what you bid. So that was kind of nice. And there are several phases, and you can increase the last phase is increasing the cards that you have in your hand, so you can buy better things. So that was kind of fun. We played a very shortened version of it, which meant that increasing the things in your hand didn't really help much because that was kind of a long game kind of plan.
right.
But it was still interesting. A lot of maybe fight monsters or get technology or try to solve these quests or enhance your hand. And it was fun. I don't think it would be something that I need to play often. But there was a single player version of it, so it would be something that you could buy and put on your shelf and get out and play every once in a while. But I've still got Gloomhaven over here, so I that's what I have for that.
Right.
Speaking of Gloomhaven, I went to one of the things I did the first day was I went to the back corner where you can vote for the fan favorites, what games of the game of the year, that kind of thing. And Gloomhaven was in the board game category, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'll totally vote for that. I wrote scribbled my votes down, turned it in. Actually used that list to go check all the family games to wander around and see what I could find.
Oh, nice.
Most of the things that sold out. A lot of things were sold out. Including I gotta find it now. I'll find it while I'm talking. I went back on Sunday to check out the list again and see if I can find anything else. And they had a list of it on the big board. There was a little sign a little tag that said votes and then the name. And someone had scribbled in, 7, 8, 9, 1, 12 on the votes list. So man, voting is way down. And I looked up where Gloomhaven was because I thought Gloomhaven should win. And Gloomhaven had 1 vote.
What?
Yeah, Gloomhaven had 1 vote. So I said, what the heck? Am I the only one that voted for Gloomhaven? And she turned around and looked, and she said, no, it's number 1. It got thousands of votes.
Those are the places.
But it said votes right underneath it. Anyway.
That's poorly designed.
Yes. So there was a game that I would have bought for my daughter, and I think I'm probably going to have to pre-order it. It was Dragon Tea Party something.
Oh yeah, we don't have to play that. would just right away know that that's a game for Cordelia.
Yeah, and it was amazing because it was like a Dominion or you know, that kind of deck building game, except it
Yeah,
was all about people going to a tea party and all the dragons have their favorite thing. So one has an affinity for food and one has an affinity for entertaining. And
that's awesome.
yeah, I can't for the life of me find a picture of it. But anyway, uh, they were sold out because why would they have product that I could buy?
It's a good thing you bought all those things online.
Yeah, exactly. They said we're shipping in like 3 or 4 days, so if you can wait, you can order online. I haven't ordered it yet, but um, I did a play test of a game called Color Insanity or something. I want to say I've played it before or I've seen it before, but the premise is you've got these cards and they have the word written out of a color name, like yellow or black, except it's not in that color. It's in a different color. It's in pink or red. So it says blue, but it's actually in red. There's also a splotch of paint in the background that is there as a red herring. You have to ignore it. So
Uh,
so the idea is to play cards as fast as you can. If there's a word yellow there, you can play anything that is in yellow, anything that's the word yellow, or anything that's the color that's actually it actually is. So it's kind of a mind bending. Oh God, what I got to play, I got to play. But
that sounds like Twitch.
yeah, that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of that a lot. Except you don't have to go back and forth. You just play as fast as you can.
Huh.
So I did pick up a copy of that. It was like, you know, $9. So that's perfect. It fits in, you know, it's one of those that you can throw in a bag and take anywhere. And we ended up playing it at lunch on Sunday with a couple of our friends and having just a delightful time. And they both went off and bought a copy of it because it was so fun. So that was great.
Nice.
Now I got to pull it off the fit.
How about Tea Dragon Society?
That could be it.
Discover the ancient art form of tea dragon care. Taking within these enchanted world of friendship and fantasy. Create a bond between yourself and your tea dragon that grows as you progress through the seasons, creating memories you share forever.
That sounds just like it.
Light card game with some deck building concepts, no hidden information, making it kid friendly, beautifully illustrated with cute little dragons, based on the Oni press graphic novel, The Tea Dragon Society.
That's it exactly.
So
So
you can get it. You can get her the graphic novel too.
that's exactly what they said. So it comes perfect with the graphic novel. So they can, you know, you get them to read that. All the colors are nice and pastels and happy. Yeah, I think that's probably my future. But as I said, it's a nice, simple deck building game. It's a gateway drug.
Gateway drug. Yep.
This is the color game, Color Addict. You can see the yellow, green, and orange.
Oh my god.
In blue, yellow, and green on the front, and that splash of color that you have to ignore. So that it was a lot of fun, and it's fast. It's like, you know, 5 minutes if that.
Cool. That sounds like a waiting for people to arrive game.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'll use it for. I did a few other demos wandering around, none of which were particularly captivating. Oh, I did the same thing last year. I went by Artist Alley, and a lot of the artists have their work on mouse pads now.
Oh, nice.
So I went to the same guy last year, and he had updated mouse pads. This have like stitching on the sides. So last year I bought a mouse pad that I've been carrying around in my bag to use with my work laptop. This is for my desk, so I got a new mouse pad. Had a great time. So I think on Sunday. Oh, I missed the one of the most important things. We survived.
Hey, success.
Not only did we survive,
the first.
Yeah. The last combat was a little bit rough because so when we showed up, remember what I said, there were only, I signed up with an empty slot. There were 10, 12 seats available?
Yeah, I think something like that, 10 or 12.
So I picked one that was empty, you know, and I bought 4 tickets. So I knew 2 people who wanted to go, and we con another person to go in. So so it was me and Kelly is the person we conned in, and GG and Yav. And the two people that we brought last year played the same thing. They played fighters and paladins. I think the dwarf fighter and paladin. I played the mage again, and we're sitting there, kind of waiting for other people to show up, and we were just the four of us.
Wow,
which was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so that's the best way to play.
So I told Kelly, I'm like, all right, look, you have steady hand because I think I know a job for you. Because usually in a couple of the rooms where there are puzzles, you get extra clues if you have a rogue. And she said, well, yeah, kind of. And then she got the rogue thing and she read it. It was like, no, this is not me.
Oh, man, that sounds about right, though. So what did she end up playing?
So I said, all right, well, shuffleboard? You like shuffleboard? Said, well, no, not really. Are you good at memorizing things? And she said, yeah, maybe. All right. Well, we've got a paladin. We've got a dwarf fighter. We've got a mage. You don't want to be a rogue. All right, here's the cleric. And she said, okay, perfect. And so we're sitting there, I've got my bag full of tokens from, half wooden ones from like Gen Con SoCal. And we're doing our best to outfit, the best we can with a new little pack of things that we got. And guy walks in and looks at my pile and says, no, these are all garbage, and picks them up and just walks out. And I'm like, okay, what just happened? And he walks back in. It's Eric Robinette, who was volunteering. He gives my tokens back, but not only that, he drops down all these super wild treasure tokens, so that when we get to the end, it's like treasure times 12. Everyone gets just boatloads of extra treasures out of the treasure thing because he had all these. They're not one use only.
Right.
You just write them down. So he gave us he spread out like 6 of these super whammy, super ultra rare dungeon tokens. And we're laughing and having a good time. I gave the cleric an extra level bump, so she was able to heal us all in extra time. So that was great. And he that was hilarious. So he was the dungeon master for the first room, the practice room. So that's where you give all your treasure tokens back, or he verifies them. And so I just handed it back to him. He's like, all right, thank you.
Nice.
Oh
man.
So I rememorized quickly the grid of all the spells and Chris and Trish were over there on the shuffleboard practicing, and Kelly's sitting there with the beads memorizing each one. And like, all right, we all ready? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Ish.
Man, the first room we walked into was the most immersive, visually stunning room that they have ever done.
Wow.
I mean, if you can imagine, the curtain opens up and we walk through a little bit. You're on a precipice that overlooks infinity. I mean, the walls and ceiling were all being projected on little stars going everywhere, and all along the edges, instead of just having the floor go up to the curtain or the white wall where they were projecting, they had mirrored floors. So when you look down, it's just a reflection, and it's just more infinity everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And the edge was just this kind of craggling thing we were standing on. And the first room was a puzzle room, and someone was asking for help and summoning a ship or something, and there were 4 lanterns, and we had to figure out how to touch them in order. And we got it. We figured it out with like moments to spare. It was fantastic. So even with just 4 of us, we managed to solve the first puzzle. The next room was a combat room, and it's like, okay, this is ranged combat, so we're not going to be doing anything for a little while while the fighters climb up the steps to get to the pirate captain or whatnot. And he's lobbing spells at us the whole time, and he has spell resistance. But we managed to finish him off eventually. The next room was another puzzle room. I think, we had to start the engine or something. And there's all these cranks everywhere, and they were controlling lights on other sides. And it's a room that was made for more than 4 people. So the guy's like,
right.
all right, I'll help you out. And if you manage to solve one side, we'll call it locked, and you can go on to the next one. So we're turning things, and it was a total color puzzle. And I'm waiting for the randomly colored things to come up, and we just ran out of time. We knew what we figured out the trick, but we ran out of time. Very similar to a previous adventure
Yeah,
where
that sounds very
colors
familiar.
were cycling, except that this was not a. I would have actually preferred that because this was not a patterned color cycle. It was a random color cycle, and we were just waiting for red to show up, and red never showed up.
Oh, that's
So
lame.
we couldn't lock it down. Yeah, but that's okay. We got all but one. We pretty much solved it. I think it was. I think we did pretty well. We went into the next room. Might have been a combat. Might have been another. Oh, there was another puzzle room. It was this great, huge table. Just a monstrous table, almost as big as the whole room. And it had 8 sides or maybe 12 sides, and every side had a rope coming out of it. And all the ropes were attached to this inside. You couldn't see what was going on. They were spring loaded or something. And you had to, by pulling ropes and letting slack go in, you had to maneuver this object around the table and not hit any of the obstacles.
That is amazing.
It was brilliant. And we had, all 4 of us had, because some people are controlling forward and back, and it's being pulled by the front, so you had to go around things and left and right.
Oh
and
my god.
we were declared the fastest solving that she had seen. So we totally figured it out, and we're just moving around. We did hit one mine on the way, but we had to back the thing in, so we had to turn it around, and oh, it was great. It was epic, and we felt really proud of solving that quickly. We did a great job. There was another combat that we managed to just squeak through. Oh god, that was great. And then there was another puzzle. That might have been the last combat. We threw everything we had, and we were so far away from being able to actually defeat the guy. I think at the very end, our cleric, our high level cleric, said, "Okay, I've got this 20-point damage spell. I'm going to use that on him to finish him off." And he said, "Yeah, you're not even close. 20 points was not even close. I think we might have been."
Oh man.
He was like invisible or something, so we were at 50% miss, and every time he flipped the coin, he missed. That was rough. And the last was another color puzzle. It reminded me of the bridge in Asgard, right?
Oh yeah.
Imagine
The
this
Bifrost.
the Bifrost, right? This long, huge, must have been like 2 or 3 of their size rooms long, and it's a big rainbow, and there's a pattern of light. There's a pattern of black that dances all across, and if you touch the light, you die. So it's just big enough to stand on, and you have to memorize the pattern as it dances left, diagonal to the left, diagonal to the right, straight forward, to the left, and you have to dance on it all the way across.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was amazing. I mean, I think we watched it 2 or 3 times, and then Kelly says, "Okay, I got this," and took a step and was instantly incinerated, and she died. So she had to go to the far side. Thankfully, they let her talk. So she was like, "Okay, now I've really got it." It goes red, yellow, and then blue, and then so we were able to dance all the way across and get to the halfway point where we're safe, and then dance the rest of the way. So we definitely earned that. I think we solved all the puzzles. We only got one of them that we fell a little short on time. And the last combat, I don't think I've ever defeated the boss in the last combat, because you just have to have all the gear to do that. So maybe we will have better luck on the last combat when they expect everyone to have just one little pack of tokens, right? Oh, you're muted, sir.
That would be nice if it was
Scaled
a little more scaled to that level. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. That's man, that really does sound amazing.
It was, especially after last year, the best, and there were only four of us, the best True Dungeon run I think I've done. Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't imagine how much fun it would be to get to do a run with just people you know. Even if it's only less than half of the number of people that you're supposed to have.
So there is one more thing I forgot. I know it'll be brief because we were way over time. We went to go see Solo. that night. I think it was Friday night. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. But on the way there, we were talking to people, and they were like, "Wow, that sounds fun. Wow, that sounds fun." So next year, we're going in with 10 people. We're going to fill up the room.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So we'll have a couple people who can memorize things. We'll have a couple people who are good at sliding things, and then it'll be all of us. So, we won't have to worry about, people taking over and not being friendly. So we'll definitely do that. Man, I did eat the Polish place at North Market once, but the rest of the time I was eating those dumplings, and ice cream. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I had a fantastic time. It makes me look forward to Gen Con in that this was very much a wander around and just do whatever comes up, whereas Gen Con's going to be, we've got something stacked all day, every day. So that'll be great.
Right. We haven't really done that for Gen Con this year, though. But I mean, we'll see. I'm looking to do some pickups, but that sounds awesome. I'm a little bit jealous. I don't think I've made it much of a secret the last few years that I do prefer Origins to Gen Con. It's such a better. It sounds like it was pretty busy this year, but I do enjoy that relaxed atmosphere. I did opt for the thing that sold me was new player syndrome, because I love seeing a friend of ours is going to Gen Con for the first time this year, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Like, I want to experience this with you.
Yeah.
Like going again for the first time, after 20 years.
And I've almost talked in another of our friends to go into Origins next year.
Nice.
This guy has always never been in town for summers, and now he's going to be in town for the summer. So we'll see if we can make it happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That would be awesome.
That would be fantastic. So, all right. I blathered on long enough. I can barely talk anymore. I'm feeling much better, but I'm just about out of gas. So, anything else we need to cover before we wrap? I think we have a subject for next week, right?
We do, or potentially we have somebody who has contacted us about talking about some actual Trek CC related stuff on the show. I have proposed recording with them next week, so as soon as we get confirmation of that, hopefully that's going to happen. Otherwise, we can talk about Solo.
Very good.
All right. That's all the intelligence we have this week, though. Thanks for bringing us all the intelligence from Origins. We'll look forward to breaking some of that down and what that means for Gen Con in the coming weeks. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
And I will fly back very late from Columbus to end.